Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Commissioner Notes of 2019. We are now heading into Week 6 with a full head of steam. Week 5 was entertainment at its finest, with both the race to the dress and the sprint to the ship having big things happen. And the teams in the middle, well, it's an absolute toss-up, and it will be a demolition derby to the finish. Let's get a quick recap of Week 5. Well, Bobo, week 5 was one of the most up and down weeks I've ever seen. There were 3 teams that averaged 70 points and 8 teams over 100 points, adding up to an average of 132 points. Overall, the week averaged out at 113 points. Now you see in this chart, the green bar equals the week average. The right is the blue bar that says good teams. Now you see those teams in the middle? They're shitty. They suck. Those are shitty people. But according to my calculations, that last week was the second highest point total of Blackout Don't Lockout history when 12 teams were playing in the league. Only Nick Brown's ridiculous 218-point week of 2015 was higher than last week. Now, in other news, our first place and undefeated team fell short last week and came up with their first loss of the season. Wreak Havoc finally found their match against second place team Feeling Myself. Wreak Havoc still finds themselves atop the standings and sitting with a decent 52-point lead. Our mud-stained, slimy swine also got a win last week. First of the season for the godforsaken Snouts. Maybe their 21 roster moves have finally paid off. 21 is by far the highest, while 4 is by far the lowest, and maybe a hint for our newest 12th place team. The number 1 Clown Stars have dropped to dress place after getting blown out by the Snouts 72 to 140. Granted, that is 40% of what the Snouts had scored all year, but with 4 roster moves all year, it's almost like this team wants to wear a dress and kill himself after his wife leaves him. Nick, killing yourself will not make us honor your memory. Please stay alive and keep sucking dick this year. And back to you, Bobo. Other highlights of the week include Auto Sheep tearing up his brother-in-law and destroying Skittles for a 103-point blowout, and now sit atop the 5 teams with a 3-2 record. Benicia Foreskins was up near the top of the scores once again, making them the most inconsistent team in the league. They averaged 63 points in their 2 losses and 130 points in their 3 wins. Not surprisingly, Deshaun Watson is also on the same roller coaster. The Wookiees have started to find it, as they have put up 3 wins in the last 4 weeks, scoring over 100 points in each of those weeks. It has come on the backs of their star wide receivers, which may hurt when they can't put up 30 points every week and realize they don't have a QB. And rounding out the current playoff teams is rolling with Juju, who put up a solid 126 points behind the dominant Christian McCaffrey, but they were beat by Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller. They now sit in 4th place with a big matchup on their hands in Week 6. The last highlight of the week is the newest member of the league to eventually wear a dress, Baby Logan. Congratulations, Danny. May your fathering skills be greater than your fantasy football skills, and your focus be greater on your daughter rather than your pathetic excuse of a team. Your team sucks, and you could wear a matching dress soon with your daughter, and I will love it so much. Congratulations.
Hello, once again, we have a public service announcement. You owe me $100, you owe me $100, you owe me $100, and you owe me $100. For those of you who have not paid, please send me money before I lock your team. I previously said week 6 would be the cutoff, but since I have been busy, I'll push it to the end of the week of week 7. That means you have until the 21st to pay me, or I will shut off your team. This is your warning. Those of you who have not paid: Daniel Alvarez, Nick Brown, Andrew Nassab, Will Telfer. This message has been brought to you by Igor's Loan Shark Collections Agency. Thank you. This week has some great matchups. We have a good rivalry between 2 lovers, Oh, I'm not talking about Tori and Trevor. I'm talking about Will and Andrew. But I guess Tori and Trevor are playing, and I guess they fall into that category. But really, they're the number 1 seed playing the number 4 seed, and we also have the second seed playing the number 3 seed. The other matchups are prime for a couple upsets. Except for the Clowns, they have no shot in hell. And this week could make the standings a lot more interesting. Let's see what we're in for.
And our first matchup is I Suck Dick in My Dress versus Skittle for Breakfast. This is projected to be very close, and I can't disagree. I give the advantage to Zeke in the run game against the New York Jets defense instead of Dak in the passing game, as well as Gordon getting back into the swing of things and outperforming Keenan Allen. Matt Breida and Gurley face off, but I think Breida has the advantage against a Rams defense who has given up more than expected points on the ground. And after a disappointing week, I'm going with Skittles to rebound. Next is our first matchup of the week, Thielen myself versus Auto Sheep. Auto Sheep went off last week, but I think they have some tough matchups this week. Cooper, Sutton, and Chubb have tough matchups, and playing Gus Edwards will only work when Baltimore is way on top over Cincinnati. Matt Ryan could definitely go off versus Arizona, but it's still going to be tough sledding overall. Russell Wilson has been on top of his game, and if Jimmy G can put up points versus Cleveland, it'll be interesting to see how short stack will do. However, not having a tight end and 3 empty slots on your roster is some interesting managing for a team in second place. And the running backs also have some tough matchups. This is going to be much closer than expected, but I'm guessing Thielen myself will pull out a way for the win. And in our next matchup of the week, Wreak Havoc is playing Rollin' with Juju. I'm glad I sat on their couch watching football a couple Sundays ago instead of this week. May as well have to stop some domestic violence. And by that, I mean Tory beating the shit out of Trevor. This matchup could be a lot different based on if Tyreek Hill comes back or not. The Houston and Kansas City game is going to be an absolute shootout, and it will not be the run game. I expect Mahomes to outperform his projection, especially after last week's debacle. I also think Kerryon Johnson will finally put together the big game I have been expecting for 2 years. On the other side, Goff faces the 4-0 49ers, and I think it will have to be the pass game that breaks down this tough defense. The rest of this team also has great matchups. I really like Christian McCaffrey versus anybody right now, but definitely this week versus Tampa Bay. But I still can't vote versus Mahomes. Wreak Havoc for the win. And for the last matchups that nobody cares about, are Benicia Foreskins versus the Snouts. Despite coming off their best score of the season, the Snouts will not be able to match up against Deshaun Watson against Kansas City. Foreskins to 4-2. The Wookiees play Dalvin and the Chipmunks. And Danny, you just had a baby, so can you just fucking cut me a break right now? However, I don't like my matchups for the week, and I really do think Dalvin is going to pull off the upset. And last is I've gotten Golden Ticket versus the Clown Stars. Both these teams were shitty people last week, but I think that Hopkins is the only player that's going to be able to put up points on the Clown Stars. So Teddy will bounce back and at least be able to beat the shit pile of the league. So I've got a golden ticket. Clown Stars, keeping them at the bottom of the league. Fuck you, Nick. Good luck to all. Have a nice weekend.